Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this afternoon's Council at Large Candidates Forum. This afternoon, we will have the opportunity to hear from candidate Mark Fisher, candidate Casey Melvin, Councilwoman Lilisa Mims, candidate Juan Santiago, and candidate Farid Udin. Let me just say in advance, if I mispronounce anyone's name, please attribute it to the mind and not the heart, and feel free to correct me, and I'll be sure to correctly pronounce it moving forward. This Council at Large Forum is being sponsored by the Paterson Municipal Council, and we are encouraged that these individuals have chosen to step forward to represent you, the City of Paterson. And we'd like to welcome you to the People's House, the council chambers, located on the 3rd floor of City Hall. I am also joined by the phenomenal municipal clerk, Ms. Sonia Gordon, and I will ask her to introduce her team at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. At this time, we have with us from my office, my assistant, Jacqueline Mary, and also one of the secretary in the city clerk's office, Ms. Paola Reyes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will begin this afternoon's session with opening remarks. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to provide opening remarks, and we will do so in alphabetical order, beginning with candidate Mark Fisher. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. Before we start, I'd just like to thank God and also thank my parents, Mary and Leroy Fisher. Without them, I would not be here in Paterson, New Jersey to serve. I'm a candidate 5B for the City Council at Large seat. There are 3 seats. You can vote for 3 people. Just don't vote for me. Vote for my colleagues as well, because we have to be a team. And that being said, I've coached in Paterson for Eastside and Kennedy. I've also was the president of the Towers Association. That's right, I lived in the Towers, so I know what the people are feeling down there as well. So I just want to tell you, I'm going to bring common sense government here. I have that voice, an independent thinker, and like I said, I'm a team player. So these are the things that I'm trying to bring to the table. Some of my goals or aspirations to make Paterson a great city is that we don't have a recreation center to call our own. I'm not going to ask for 1, I'm asking for 2 on both sides of town for both regions of the city. Also, I just like to say 30 years in Paterson Public Schools have taught me how to be a problem solver. So as a parent coordinator and then being elevated to a district parent coordinator, I'm a fixer. I make things work. I worked in the community with the Brothers Group, which my partner over here, Casey Melvin, is a part of as well, to bring back the community. So these are things that I would like to do and continue to do, but I need your support to make it happen. I'm 5B, and I'm going to be your next City Council at Large representative. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to provide their opening remarks, Mr. Casey Melvin.
Thank you for that, former Councilman, Mr. Morris, and I'd like to thank the City Council, the Clerk's Office, for putting together this fantastic forum. I think it's very, very important and vital that the public gets to hear from 1/3 of their elected body who's going to be representing them for the next 4 years. As I said in many other debates, Paterson is experiencing a crucial time in our city. 1/3 of your City Council will be elected on May 10th. Your mayor, your chief executive of the city will be elected on May 10th. So it's very important that you make the right choice. My name is Casey Melvin. I'm born and raised in the city of Paterson all my life. I went to school here, worked here all my life. I'm a business owner. I had a barbershop and beauty salon for over 25 years. I've employed dozens of people. I had a 15-station salon. Right in the city of Paterson. I started that when I was 24 years old, so I understand the importance of business. I'm heavily involved in the community, so much so that I've done some monumental work in education as a volunteer for the Parent Leadership Alliance, the Multi-Ethnic Task Force, under several superintendents, Dr. Duroy, Michael Glasgow. I organized myself with other members of the Board of Education and parents, parent groups who took the initiative to get the whole entire family involved with education, because we all know education is important. On the community side, I think it's very important, and it correlates with the positioning in council. I understand the community's needs, from the young to the old. I volunteered at Senior Citizens Home, where I delivered food to the needy. We provided PPP, protective equipment, during the time of COVID. I have family members that live in the senior citizens home. We provided like additional security and support for members of our senior population. And just recently, I've advocated for rent stability for members of senior housing. And when it comes to violence and public safety, I think that's very important. I've volunteered with dozens of agencies. One agency I like to highlight is the Street Keepers and the Men Stand Up Anti-Violence Initiative, where we got 5 guns off the street. One of them, a semi-automatic weapon, an AR-15. We got that off the street. That prevented several families from suffering. So my number is 4B on the ballot. You'll hear more from me. I look forward to your support, your family member support, your friends' support. I think your investment in me and the council, you will not be disappointed. 4B on the ballot, KC Melvin, Councilman at Large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to provide their opening remarks, Councilwoman Lilisa Mims.
So thank you, Councilman Kim Morris, for being the moderator on today. I'm so grateful when Barry White steps into the room, to our clerk's office, and to the City Council for this great opportunity. So Paterson, for me, it's just an awesome opportunity. I come from a background where my grandparents were sharecroppers. My mom churned tobacco, picked corn, picked cotton in the fields of Lake City, South Carolina. They migrated to Paterson in 1968, and I was their Christmas present. Born and raised in here in 1969, went through the Paterson public school system. My children went through Paterson public school. My grandchildren are part of the system as well. Was able to go to Passaic County Community College and get my associate's degree, and I'm really proud to say that I have a master's and a doctorate degree, and I was a valedictorian of both of those programs with 4.3 GPA. But the greatest thing that I love is the fact that when I worked in corporate America for over 27 years as a corporate executive, I was one of the only African-American females from Paterson to be a part of the development team for FIOS. And my slogan is always, can anything good come out of Paterson? Can anything good come out of the fourth ward? I am truly a testament. Coming from someone like Councilwoman Vera Ames, who was my babysitter, Councilwoman Dr. Jessie Dixon, who was the first person that my grandmother allowed to do my hair, and then who can not forget Councilwoman Maria Magda, who helped me learn about the non-for-profit and community initiatives by being a partner of the Hispanic Multi-Purpose Center. After coming out of Verizon in 2008, the first thing I wanted to do was to pay it forward. And what did I do? I started adopting schools. Of course, I went to 21. Born and raised, went to that school, started giving back. 21, school 10, school 6, 28, 4, working with the teachers, working with the administrator. And because I did so many amazing things, the principal said, I'm hiring you. Didn't apply, wasn't looking for a job, ends up being a coordinator, and I end up working with Mr. Mark Fisher in the school district. And by doing that great work, the high school said, how can you work only for the elementary schools? We're adopting you. So I started working in the high schools as well. Ran for school board in 2014, served my term, fought against tax increases, served there for a full term. 2018, came to the council, fought to make sure recreation was back, turned down over 1,500 lights that were out in the city, and all of the 4 bridges, West Broadway, Temple Street, Lafayette and Strait, as well as Arch Street Bridge, they were all for minimum 10 years. When I got to the council in 2018, those were key projects. I am Councilwoman Mims. I am 10B on the ballot. I have done the work. When you've called me, I responded. Let's keep people at this table that have done the work. My name is Mims. I am 10B on the ballot. When I win, the city continues to win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next, to provide their opening remarks, Juan Santiago.
I like the way you said Mitch. Well, Mr. Morris, Councilman Morris, you are truly missed. We need individuals like you in the city council that are not for sale, and you stand for what you believe in. Madam Clerk, keep your head up, especially when you got individuals in the city of Paterson that put up these bogus charges. And not only for her, but also for Dave Gilmore, those charges is baloney. They call me Mitch because I'm a former graffiti artist. From back in the days, I also did the backdrop for the movie Lean On Me. I was a school board member for 3 terms. I was vice president twice, president. I was trained very well when I became president by Al Moody. I worked for the city of Paterson for 35 years, the sheriff department 15 years. At that time, in my younger years, I dropped out of East High School 3 months before graduation to actually grab a GED so I can take care of my children, to take care of my responsibilities. I have 11 children, 6 grandchildren. I did what I had to do. My children never went to sleep hungry. I did what I had to do as a man. What I could do state is that all the individuals that are standing towards my right and my left, this is the right team right here. It's a shame that it's not 5 open seats, because this would have actually moved this city forward. Johnny Come Lately was in the other group, which I wish I was there, but nevertheless, we need to move this city forward. We have serious problems here. There's individuals that are running that you have never seen them before, have done nothing in this community. You have seen individuals that are running again for re-election that haven't done nothing in that term, and they're not gonna do nothing in this term. We got people that are selling this city out. I have no price. I'm here to work for you, not you to work for me. I'm not here for a paycheck. I'm retired. I'm willing to donate my city council paycheck to the community, to the taxpayers, scholarship for the children, and help our community out. But I support a lot of my colleagues here. These are my brothers and my sister. I'm not gonna besmirch, I'm not gonna trash none of them, and that's how I stand. Juan Santiago, I'm 2B. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Next, to provide his opening remarks is Mr. Farid Udin.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes, assalamu alaikum. My name is MD Farid Udin. I'm a teacher at Paterson Public Schools, an adjunct professor at Rutgers University, and a commissioner at City's Planning Board. I have a bachelor degree in English literature, a master's in urban education, and pursuing an additional master's on educational leadership. While I was a full-time student, I had to work full-time to obtain sufficient living for my family. And that made me understand, that made me feel that how struggles look like. And because of that, since 2011, I started giving back to the community. I work as an advocate for senior citizens or immigrant populations, and taught civic classes voluntarily after school programs for many years, and still doing that. I just did not volunteer for different organizations since 2011. I have started a sports league, community sports league, BASL, for our youth, to involve them in productive way. Because once our children get out from the school, how safe they are. We all know the scenario. And this is why I have started a sports league in 2018. Last 5 years, I'm serving for over 200 youths. But in larger scale, we believe we need more. Last year, in 2020, during the pandemic, when people are scared to go outside, I was in part of Passaic County Census Committee. I, along with my volunteer teams, knocked doors, hosted events throughout the city of Paterson to make sure that every single individuals living in the city get counted. And now we are class 1 city. and we are expecting federal funding for next 10 years. I'm a homeowner in the city of Paterson, and I live there along with my wife and a daughter who turned a year and 5 months, and I experience firsthand every day that the impact of tax increases every year and decrease of the city services. I'm here running the city council to be your voice for economic development, to be your voice for safe neighborhood, to be your voice for recreational opportunities for our youth, to be your voice for a better quality of life. I'm 1B on the ballot. One more time, thank you so very much, our city clerk, Sonia Gordon, and a great leader, Councilman Ken Morris, for being our moderator today, and we're so glad to see you here. Thank you, and one more time, 1B, your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to our first series of questions, I just would like to remind you there is early voting in the city of Paterson beginning on Friday, May 6th and ending on Sunday, May 8th. There are 2 locations available for early voting, the Paterson Fire Department at 300 McBride Avenue, as well as the Islamic Center of Passaic County at 152 Durham Avenue. Friday and Saturday, early voting will be available from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, we are pleased to have before us the remaining 5 candidates for the Council at Large race, including Mark Fisher for Paterson, ballot position 5B, Casey C. Melvin, Paterson on a path to win, ballot position 4B. We also have Councilwoman Lilisa Mims, a better Paterson, ballot position 10B. Also, Juan Mitch Santiago, we can, ballot position 2B. And Mr. M.D. Farid Udin, your voice, ballot position 1B. We will start our questioning with candidate Mark Fisher. As a reminder, you can ask each candidate up to 2 questions each. They will have 3 minutes to respond. If you choose not to ask the candidate a question, I have a series of questions that have been made available from the local media, and I will then ask the candidate one of those questions. Mr. Fisher, the floor is yours when ready.
Thank you, Councilman Morris. My question is for the 3 gentlemen we have up here, and I have another question. My next question will be for the lady. All right? In alphabetical order, you guys can answer this question. You all know that my soapbox has been recreation centers, lack of performing arts centers. If you are blessed to be elected, and I'm not, how would you take my baton and move it forward to help me help the city? That's my question for the 3 gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fisher. I think that's a very good question. What you're requesting is the same thing that I'm requesting, recreation activities for our young folk. And the honorable part about it is I don't care who gets the recognition, whether you come up with it or I come up with it. I think it's an important issue that I would definitely support because our kids need alternatives to what they're faced with now. Based on my experience with dealing with young folk for over 25 years, we put together a back-to-school event called the Day of the Babies, where we provide activities, school supplies, and we gave out 64 computers to children, and the story never ends, that they don't have enough to do. So I would look forward funding. I would talk to the administration to find funding. I sit down with the experts, yourself being one of them who's in the school system now, to develop a sensible plan on activities, not just fun and games, but some mind-stimulating activities, some training, some social services to include in that. And I'd also do what I can, I make it a priority to employ members of the city of Paterson, not just to run the program, but to construct it too. you know, it's always been my passion to not just be a user of the product that we deliver, but a constructor and a designer of it as well. And I think we have the potential and the capabilities to do that. So if that's your project, Mark, I'll support it, not because it's you or because it's me, because it's a good project and it's necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mitch Santiago, same question.
I commend you for that. Recreation is very, very, very important in the city of Paterson towards our children and our community. And not only I will support you or anyone that has to do with anything with our children and take them off the streets and put them where they're safe. I have a coaching license, and I donated my time with the children of the city of Paterson. I never grandstand up here stating to the people I got a coaching license because either you're going to do it or you're going to be a doer or you're just trying to get credit for it. Many years ago when I was on the school board, I was trying to fight for the armory that is right up on Market Street so it could be an all-sports school. There was a school that I went to in New York before I moved to Paterson. It's called DeWitt Clinton High School, All School of Sports. They have swimming, fencing, soccer, gymnastics. They have every single sport. I know that our children are capable to compete. We have very intelligent children. You ever seen children in backyards with mattresses and doing flips? And you're gonna tell me that we can't train them and they can represent the city of Paterson anywhere to be competitive, even towards the Olympics? Absolutely. It's not only your dream, it's our dream, it's all these children's dream. In order for them to have it, we got to give them the tools for them to do it. So I'm 150% with you, 150% with any of the ones that are running here, because I could truly say that I'm not the only one that'll stand here in support of it. Each one of them ones here alongside of me will support it. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, Mitch. All right, Commissioner Udin.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. As a teacher at Paterson Public Schools and a founder of a community sports league, I saw the need of youth programs and recreational opportunities for our youth. I have jumped into action in 2018 and started a community sports league. But in larger scale, this is nothing. We have to come up with a shared plan with Paterson Public Schools and City of Paterson so that we can use cities in a field, and we can use the gymnasium of Paterson Public Schools and come up with the shared recreational opportunities, not for one season, for all 4 seasons. Because we need diversified year-round recreational opportunities for our youth. That we have to confirm. We have to work with Paterson Public Schools as a teacher, and you as a part of Paterson Public Schools staff. I would say it's important for us to come up with a plan, because these kids, these children are from our city. So we need to come up with a shared plan. Second thing, since I'm door knocking, I started door knocking about 5 months ago, and my campaign was very grassroots level. And one thing I notice, and common everywhere in the city of Paterson, which is trash and litter on our city street. Can we not involve our school-going students for collecting trash and getting paid under recreational department? We can do that. Why not we involve our teenagers with recreation department and let them collect trash on our city street instead of hanging on city street and get involved with crime and drug? We can involve them in a productive way and keep our city clean. So we need a youth clean team and involve them in a productive way. And thank you so very much for asking this question. And this is, I definitely support the recreation opportunities for our youth, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. My next question, Councilman Morris, will be to Councilwoman Mims. Councilwoman Mims, you served on the school board, you served on the planning board for the city with me, so you know how important the master plan is and also the redevelopment plan. What is your vision going forward for the master plan or the redevelopment plan? Because you know it needs to be revamped. So I know you got some answers for that.
So I think that's a great question. I hated that I didn't have the opportunity to answer the last one because everyone knows I
You
am
can
the
now.
recreation queen, and I'm not sure how many minutes I have, and I'll try to integrate both. But for me, economic development, strategic planning, and organizational leadership is my background, as well as project management. I am certified from George Washington University. Coming to the council for me, serving on the school board for me, being on the planning board for me, was never about me. It was always about, so many times we're sitting on the sidelines and complaining about what's not done, or we can't do this, and we heard that a lot. So I said, you know what? I want to be a part of the starting five. I want to get in the game. It doesn't matter if I'm the center, the power forward, or whatever position, but I'm getting in the game. So that's why I started paying it forward by adopting schools, working in the school district so I can learn, and then being on the planning board. I was really excited because I ran for a ward seat but didn't win. But when I was running in one of the platforms, the mayor at the time heard my economic development background. He heard my heart and passion for the city and appointed me to the Great Planning Board. And we went through our training, through lanyard laws, and I took it very, very serious. When it came to the master plan for the redevelopment plan for all of the wards that came before us, I watched how sometimes there was really no presence in our meetings, as you know, and I really drove through the city and made a lot of recommendations because I felt like if we did not provide the needs, recreational needs, for our seniors and our youth, if we did not provide the needs for parking, the needs for housing, for density and sewer infrastructure, that our city would be in a place of gentrification. So because of my stance and the hard work and my due diligence, the mayor at the time created the position of the vice president of the planning board, and I was able to get that position. Let me piggyback on recreation since I have a minute. I think I could wrap it up. Recreation, I am proud to have sat on the council where we approved the Great Falls Performing Arts Center, so it will be coming soon. It's already approved. I am also excited when I came to the council, I realized that $750,000 was removed from the recreation budget. We worked together, advocated, and that money has been back implemented. One of my great plans that I gave to the administration was the Master Parks Plan for all the parks across the city. We won a scholarship. We went to Chattanooga, and we were able to create a vision plan for our parks. And because of that, when you look at the former Putnam Oval, which is now known as Raylight Senior Field, Mims got that done. When you look at Bear Track Field Park, which is located across the street from Scolari Funeral Home on 5th Ave between East 23rd and East 24th, Mims got that done. I supported Buckley Field, I supported Brandy's Field. All of these items were supported because I believe in recreation and our children deserve better. Thank you so much for the question.
All right, thank you very much. I think my time is up.
You do have an opportunity to ask additional questions. You have an opportunity to ask 2 questions of each candidate.
Oh, no, I just want to let the residents know that I'm here for you, and I'm 5B. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. At this time, we would invite Mr. Casey Melvin to ask questions of each of the candidates.
Yes, okay, thank you. Former Councilman Morris, I appreciate the opportunity to ask my running mates questions. I think it's important that we get to learn and know the individuals who we're running with and be able to get into where their vision is in regards to what I think the large percentage of the public is concerned with, how well we're going to work together. So my question is, if myself and yourself is elected in office on May 10th, how successful will I be to get you to co-sponsor an ordinance or resolution regarding business development and home ownership. And I'll start with Mark Fisher and work my way down.
Your question was, how would it be?
How successful would I be to get you to co-sponsor a resolution or ordinance for business development and home ownership?
All you have to do is show me your plan. We'll go over it, and we'll sit down, and if I feel like it needs to be tweaked, I'm gonna give you some suggestions. If not, we're gonna go with it, because that's something that I stand for. And I tell the residents all the time, if you currently are happy with the regime that's up here, then go with it. Don't vote for me. If you're happy with it, don't vote for us. Stay with what's going on. But I will definitely back that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before the next candidate responds, you may have noticed that Councilwoman Lilisa Mims is very skilled at using these opportunities. She constantly looks at these cameras here, because by looking at these cameras here, you are actually addressing the public. So I would encourage you, as you're responding, that you look at the cameras in front of you, so you're addressing the public itself. Mr. Melvin, who would you like to respond to the question?
Next person is Dr. Mims.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin, for that great question. So on the council, I had the awesome opportunity to chair economic development. So I'm very familiar with the process of how committees work. I'm very familiar with the process of how you can get from a drafted piece of paper to a resolution through Corporation Council, through committee, to how it needs to move from whatever committee, possibly economic development or community development, then through finance. I've served on finance as well. Being in leadership and serving on the right committees matter on the council. Being able to partner and collaborate with your colleagues matters as well. I always tell people, when it's something that you're presenting that's in the betterment of the community, one of the things I always find is missing, we never engage the community. We have great ideas across the board. We can sit here, it sounds wonderful, but one of the things that one thing that I stand on is getting input and getting support from the community. And if this item that is going to be proposed is in the best interest of our business owners, because they've been heavily impacted through COVID, if it's in the best interest of those that are in need of home ownership, I will definitely support it. I am a product of the home ownership product that Paterson offered some years ago, where you bought your first home, they gave you a certain amount of money to move into your home, and I was successful in that. And since then, I've had 5 homes in the city. So I encourage all of our renters, all of our residents to take part in these projects that are available. Also, one of the things we found is that we have a lot of things that are available through community development, but we found that a lot of people were not familiar. So one of the requests that was made on our committee, community development, was, can you send an email distribution blast to all the council members so we can use our resources and our networks to share it? And when we did that, we saw an influx. So absolutely, if it's for the residents, if it's for the community, and we brought the community to the table, I'm in full support. But I can't say emphatically unless I see what it is. But if it benefits the resident, it benefits the community, Mims is always in with the people. Mims, 10 be on the ballot, keep me in the seat, because I've kept you at the table while I sat here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Mr. Santiago?
Yes.
Well, I gotta cut this in right here. Since you said that Councilwoman Mims is smooth, I'm actually watching her, how she moves, and in the camera. So, Casey, I gotta tell you this. Anything that you put on the table that is the embedment or the best interests of the city of Paterson, I will always support. I support anything that'll move the city forward. But like Councilwoman Mims said, she stated that you have to have the community's input. Absolutely, she's 150% correct. The community should have a say, because they're the ones that are getting us in these seats. And the way they can get us in these seats is the same way they can get us out. The problem is that some of the city council members and the city can't move forward is because the lack of communication and them not working together, and they cutting each other's throat. I would not allow that. For me to succeed, to move the city forward. So individuals like you, bringing a platform like that, absolutely, I will co-sponsor it, Casey.
Thank you. Mr. Udin.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for the question. And one common thing that we all see that at the city council, that our council members are fight on every single issues instead of coming together to move for city forward. So I believe this is a very good question, and it is important that if our purpose is to serve the city of Paterson, we should not fight on the small issues, be toxic, but better, we have to come up with a plan which is better for our city. Now, if we come up with a plan, let me use my platform as a teacher. We all teachers teach different ways. We have professional development. We sit down. We present our strategies to other teachers, our colleagues. And we all present how we teach. And together, we come up with another strategy which is better than what we are doing currently. Any plan you come up with, you or any other council member, I think we have to sit down together. We should evaluate whether this plan work well, can we add something, or can we deduct something? We can also, as Councilman Mims said, we have to engage our community, which is very important, because every Tuesday our people come here, not many come to the city council to ask questions, because they will have to wait 5-6 hours for 3 luxurious minutes of question. That's not engagement of the community. It's a time of technology. We can bring our community together in different ways. We can have online access where they can throw their question, throw their views, point of views, and we can take that and we can implement that. And I believe that this is the time. This is time to come up together, to move forward. Because we cannot backbite each other. We cannot fight on us. Every single issue is coming to the city of Paterson. Every Tuesday is a joke. I'm sorry to say that. And this is what made me to run for the council. Because we failed to provide the services to our city. Because we are not prioritizing our people. We are prioritizing the special interest. We have to get out of that. We have to prioritize our people. If we can do that, we are not going to fight against each other. We're going to think what's best for our people. Thank you so much for asking this question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Mr. Melvin, you do have an opportunity to ask one additional question of each candidate, as you so choose.
Yes, okay. So my additional question would be to each candidate. If you weren't running hypothetically, would you endorse me as a candidate for city council at large, and why or why not?
Who would you like to begin with?
I'll start with Mr. Udin.
Mr. Udin?
Yes.
Thank you one more time, and let me commend you the work you have done and you're doing, especially Healing Collective. I follow you, Casey, and I met you. I told you that we are running. We're not running against each other. That's what the message I'm telling everyone in the city of Paterson. We are running to serve you, and you are going to pick the 3 that you want to serve in this term. But yes, if you tell me, am I going to endorse you for the work you have done? Yes, I'll endorse you, the work you have done in Healing Collective and with your other members. And Lisa Chowdhury, amazing colleague of you. And I commend both of you whatever you have done, because this is what our city needs. I have to commend you for that. You are running the council does not mean I have to go against you. You're doing great stuff. I have to acknowledge that. That's what's important. And again, I'm saying, whatever works, our colleagues are doing. Mark Fisher, as a parent coordinator, what he has done last 10 years, I see how much work he has done in our school building. Juan Mitch, man, works from the heart. Councilwoman Mims, she never missed any of my event. Let me tell you something. Spelling bee. I look at National Spelling Bee. I did one of the spelling bee, our event in the city of Paterson, the first one ever. And I invited Mims because she provides scholarship in our schools, inside academy. And I invite her always, because I have to commend all the works you are doing, and we lose or win, doesn't matter. We have to work together, because this is not time anymore. I'm telling you one more time, emphasizing people. This is time for a positive change if you want to see move forward. If you want what's going on now, then if you don't change in leadership, change will come. So please, come together, work together, move forward together. Does not mean you are at the city council or you're outside the city council. This is about the people of the city of Paterson. Thank you, Casey, for everything you have done so far.
Thank you.
And you are going to do amazing job, I believe, in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Candidates, the mics are extremely sensitive, so you really don't have to get too close, because when you get too close, then what you're saying comes over muffled and folks can't understand it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Mr. Melvin, who would you like to follow up with?
Next, I'd like to get a response from Mr. Mitch Santiago.
I'm going to tell you this, Melvin. Absolutely. 150%, no doubt in my mind, is I know the type of person that you are. I will actually throw you out there and say, listen, vote for this brother right here. Because I know the type of person you are and the job that you have done, along with others right here. I'm not a cutthroat. What you see in front of me, you see behind your back. If I back you up in front of you, I will back you up behind your back. Now, I'm going to tell you something what really bothers me, and I'm glad you brought that question up. And the city of Paterson needs to know this, and this is an outrage, and it actually ticks me off. See, I got to be real careful with the words that I have to say, because some words could be very offensive, and I don't want to come out with some words, so I got to be real nice. This city is a diverse community. You have Hispanics, Bangladesh, Italians, African American. When you have a ticket of 2 Latinos and 1 Bangladesh, it bothers me with no African American representation. It's not only diverse, it wouldn't bother me if it would have been a Hispanic, Bangladesh, and an African American. But what message are you sending out to the community? You're trying to cut throat? That's what you're doing. I can't support anything like that. But Casey, yes, absolutely. I was raised and grew up in the hood all my life. And it wasn't just a Hispanic thing, Puerto Rico thing, no. We all got along. When we were children, we all got along, no matter what color you was. We didn't see racism or understood what it was until we became adults and we started seeing it. 150%, Casey. You got me.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago.
Yes, Dr. Mims is next.
So it's easy for me to answer. We're both on the 4th Ward. We both have the same mentors. Councilwoman Ames, I'm sure she's watching. But it's not just words. I remember working with you and Councilman Morris to write a piece of legislation that would have helped move our city forward for people that were victimized by crimes, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was gun violence, whether it was stabbings, where there could be a set-aside for people to have a space in some of the new development. And I presented it before our council. It never moved forward. So I believe when we do not do those things, it serves as a disservice. And that type of legislation, it may not appease the entire community, but it appeases a piece of our community. And we neglect any of our community, we do a disservice to the entire community. So that's the type of legislation and stuff that we need to have coming forth before this council, because we're a legislative body. And those type of plans, those type of initiatives, those type of ideas, through collaboration with one of the greatest council people ever that worked with us and wrote it and told me, yeah, put your name on it. And it was something that you brought forward. And we worked on it tirelessly as a collective effort. When we can do stuff like that, coming together to work together, that's what it's about. People watch the council meetings week after week, time after time, and I receive those messages, whether I'm sitting here or when I get home. And one thing people say to me, Mims, Tim B, we thank you for being the adult in the room. Mims, thank you for being a voice of reason and peace in the midst of the chaos that's going on. Paterson needs professionalism. Paterson needs to move forward. Paterson needs progression. We need to elect individuals to be on this council that will work together for the greater good of the community, that will work together and bring the voices of the people to the table as we sit here, and to make sure that we elect people to sit with us, that we can collaborate, that we can work together and move our city forward. Mims can be on the ballot. I've always been for peace. I've always been about the people. Let's bring people to this council, including myself, returning me back, and we'll make sure that we get it done. Thank you so much, Casey Melvin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Ms. Fisher?
Thank you. Hope my mic's adjusted well. We good? All right. To answer your question, before I even answer that question, I'm just going to give the residents a little background of you and myself. This young man came to the PLA, I think it was called. Was that
Paterson
right?
Leadership Alliance,
Yeah,
yes.
Paterson Leadership Alliance. That was a group of parents put together to make sure that the school district stayed on point. And he was one of the architects in that as well. We served as the Brothers of Paterson Incorporated, brothers reaching out to help everyone rebuild self. And that's what we need to do in this city. We need to rebuild self. It has to start with us here. If, like I said before, if you're happy what you got, well, let me change that. You could get with this or you can get with that. And I don't think you want to get with that. So I'm with you, Casey, 110%. I was a champion. Silk City Sharks on the field. I'm going to be a champion with you in office. I will back you definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you, Mr. Melvin.
Thank you.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite to ask her series of questions, Councilwoman Lalisa Mims. Councilwoman, the floor is yours when ready.
Thank you so much. This time has been very well spent because it's very important for us. If we can lift the camera, my head is cut off. I don't want the community to think I don't have a full head, please. And then we can start the timer from now. Thank you.
So once
I just
again,
want to make
gentlemen.
sure.
Once again, gentlemen, now you see the skill set, right?
That's why I need to keep my seat at the table. I know what I'm doing. Tim B. Mims on the ballot. So, first question. We are, in our community, we have many people that live here. Myself and Mr. Udin, we served on the Passaic County Census Committee, and we worked tirelessly, as well as Ms. Nancy Greer, my legislative aide who's upstairs. We worked to move the city to a class of to become first class with a population of 158,732 people. It is a melting pot of diversity, and there's so many great things that we can talk about for years and days in our great community. But what has happened over time, and people really don't understand, that we have a tax entity base of about 23,085 that pays into the tax base of the community just in household residency as far as home ownership. My question to you, because one of the things I've been very adamant about on the school board, fighting against tax increases, and on the council, voting no against tax increases, even sewer taxes, voting no. My record speaks for itself. If you were to be elected, what would be your stance on the tax increases and the sewer tax? And I would like to ask this question starting at Mr. Fisher and then coming all the way down the line.
Thank you for that question about taxes. Everybody talks about taxes. In this race, you actually have people that said on their platform and on their information that they're going to stabilize it and they're not going to raise it. People are making promises out there, people they can't keep. I'm never going to make that promise. I know my colleagues here will never make that promise. As far as the tax goes, we will definitely sit down and work with that. I understand when I started looking at the budget and I looked at the tax, and I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the school board, the school district had much to do with the taxes than you guys on the city council. Am I correct with that? Yeah.
So that's something that could be stated for
Councilwoman, again, you can't answer, but then that will constitute our. Yeah.
Oh, no.
that I will not answer because I have another question.
Okay, I'm going to leave that like that. Thank you, Mark Fisher, 5B. Thank you.
Mr. Melvin?
Yes, so thank you, Dr. Mims, for that question regarding taxes, right? That's definitely one of the pillars that I'm proposing in my platform to work towards tax relief, not no taxes, but tax relief, because we definitely need a reprieve, some level of relief from excessive taxes. And this doesn't just only pertain to homeowners, it also pertains to renters. Because if the owner has to pay more taxes for owning the property, then that passes down to the tenants. So the tenants eventually absorb the effects of high taxes. The first thing I would do is I would definitely look into means and measures to reduce taxes, to stabilize taxes and provide some relief by first and foremost doing some research, right? What have other cities done? What have other legislators have advocated? What have other administrators done? Because sometimes the answer is just a flip of a few pages or some research, right? What I find that's happening is nobody's doing the research. Nobody's not doing a deeper investigation on things that we can do, or listening to those who have a knowledge of ways that we can provide relief. If I wanted to yield or defer to Mr. Morris, I know himself, he's constantly talked about, and I think I learned this term from him, ratables, right? The ability to draw ratables, and ratables are generated through home ownership and development. So I'd pull a page out of his book. Again, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter who comes up with it as long as it makes sense and it's applicable. So I'd exercise the ratable concept of building more homes, affordable renter, resident owner occupied homes as one key measure to lower the taxes, because right now the taxpayers pay a majority of the expenses, and the expenses constantly go up. So if the expenses go up as a result of inflation, then it's inevitable taxes are going to go up too. So I do something to counter that, starting with what Morris always talked about, ratables, and increasing the ratables, investment, decreasing the amount of lawsuits that we get, right? So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give too much, but I definitely review some of the things that our predecessors have done and entertain that first to come up with a meaningful plan. Thank you for that question. Great question, Dr. Mims.
Thank
4B.
you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Santiago.
I'll make sure my head ain't cut off. I'm looking at the To all fairness about the sewers, about the taxes people are paying, I don't think it's right. And I'm going to tell you why. The sewers, they're not being cleaned. The sewers are filthy. You got plants growing out of them. You got garbage, weeds. DPW, you can't blame them. You can't not blame DPW. There's 6 wards in this city, and you probably perhaps have 1 truck to clean these sewers. You can't do it. Then they want to blame the director. Oh, Billy ain't doing his job. He is doing his job. He cannot do the job if we do not give him the resources in order for him to do the job. Now, some of the other candidates that were here earlier, they wouldn't want to touch this issue, but I'm going to touch it. About the taxes, I will never, ever, ever, ever vote in favor of tax increase. But is it fair to the homeowners that they have to pay taxes in the city of Paterson, and you have these investors that don't even live here and build all these homes, and they got a tax abatement, free tax for 20, 30 years, they do not pay tax? No. What kind of message are we sending our taxpayers in the city of Paterson, hurting them? Our seniors that live in a fixed income, they're not getting a raise in their check, Social Security, or their pension. They go by what they live, by what they receive. So therefore, the more taxes that we raise is the more we hurting them, because they live in a fixed income. They can't afford it. So therefore, we should focus on a resolution, work together as a team, put it in place, put it on the table. No tax abatements for these developers coming into our city of Paterson and hurting our citizens and our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Mr. Udin.
Thank you, Councilman Mims. I want Paterson to know that the average homeowners pay $6 per square foot taxes. Big companies like Lowe's, Home Depots, and other commercial buildings pay $3 average per square foot. How is this fair? The commercial place buildings must and should pay their fair share. And because of that, we need reverse tax appeal process. We have to have an attorney to do that job. Those who are supposed to pay $10, they should pay $10. We, the city, should not be satisfied with $5. And because of that, we homeowners, the taxpayers, taking the burden. Secondly, tax abatement. We want redevelopment, but we don't want redevelopment with tax abatement. And what happens is, when we get redevelopment with tax abatement, they are not paying taxes, and that's burden we, the homeowners, are carrying. So we cannot anymore favor tax abatement. And let me add you something, that if we want redevelopment in our city, like our neighbor cities, we have to confirm that the developers are investing to our city schools, investing to our city's community places, and investing to our fields. The second part of your question, Councilman Mims, was about sewer bill. Our sewer bill is higher than ever. And that way it is formed is totally wrong. And it is favoring, again, commercial buildings. It is favoring multi-apartments. And because of that, we have to come up with a different plan. We have to fix that. For 1 family, 2 family, 3 families, we have to have flat rate, and maybe in higher, for 4 to high numbers, you can go with by usage. Because we are family-oriented city. the way it was described, that how many families in a family and how many gallons of water are used every day, that explanation was a joke. So definitely, we have to work together and fix the issue. I'm not against anybody that what I have done, but it is time for realization. It is time for come up with a plan, a strategic plan that works for our city. And thank you, Councilor Mims, for bringing the topic. This is one of the platforms that I'm fighting for, and I'm here for that. Thank you so much. I'm again 1B on the ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Councilwoman, your second series of questions.
Thank you. I thought Mr. Udin was going to say 10B for a minute. I was going to say we're on a track record that the candidates have done that time and time again at every debate. So, as a woman who has been born and raised in the city of Paterson, have lived here for 52 years, have raised her children here, have also my grandchildren here, corporate executive for 27 years, chose to adopt schools starting in 2008, have been elected on the school board, have served on the planning board, and as your councilwoman at large 2018. I have represented every last one of you in all of your wards, whether it was with your children, your nieces, your nephew, your grandchildren, whether it's been on the city council fighting for better quality of life, safer streets, more recreational opportunities for our youth and our seniors, and quality education, just to name a few, no to sewer taxes, and so many other things. As your representative over this myriad of plethora of issues in the 39-page plan that I presented when I ran in 2018 and accomplished about 85% of that plan in this seat, is a two-part question, or maybe one, and you could just put it into two. You all have elected me twice, all of you. You all have worked with me throughout the course of years. On May 10th, or the early voting, you have an opportunity to vote again. My question is, do you feel that I've done a great job, and would you re-elect me, and why? Starting from Mr. Udin and going that way.
Councilman, I commend everything you have done even before you were elected, and I know you from Paterson Public Schools. And I definitely would say that one thing I want our current council members to understand and also believe, and also my running mates, that we have to do better. If we say that we are, whatever we're doing, this is what we should consistent with, I'm against it. Because this is the time to move forward. Every day we want to move forward in our family life, in our community life, and in city life. And if we say that what's going on with right now, and if we say consistency matter, I'm not for it. So if you are with us, that yes, this is a different time. This is time for new generation to get involved. This is the time for community to get engaged. And I use the online platform. We can have community forums throughout the city. We can do that. But if we say, yes, we want to engage our community just by the means of council meetings, that's wrong. Because our people do not just work one full-time job. They work two full-time jobs. That's the scenarios of our city. Our people do not have time to sit down in our city council for 5-6 hours to ask 3 minutes of question, and they are not getting correct answer back. So if you are agree with that, yes, Farid, it's time for the change. It's time for do better job. It's time for job to do collaboratively and engage our communities in different means. And I'm telling you something that I love to use my council aides to donate for that job. If cities think, if we get questions online, who's going to monitor this? I'd love to use my council aides for that, to make sure that we can hear every single individual living in our city. That's important. And if council member, if you're okay with it, if you say no, we have to do better job than now, I'm for it. And you got my support. If you agree with that, no, whatever we're doing today, that's not enough. We have to do better than today. And thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Mr. Santiago?
Councilwoman Mims, I will definitely support you. And I'm going to tell you why. She has always been an advocate for the city of Paterson. From day one, I observed you and I have watched you very vigilantly. And you could tell that certain people, when they get up here and they think, because they are an elected official, they have this power, and they think that they don't stink, you know? So therefore, they let things go on top of their head. She has been the same individual since the time I have met her, from the time till now. That's why they actually formed another a team to cut her throat. Because she's not a sellout. She has no price. So therefore, absolutely yes, I stand by what I stand for. I actually support you. Again.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, so that's definitely a great question, Dr. Mims. It's kind of similar to the question I asked, you know. So we're both on the same page. I'm glad you asked the same question because now I get an opportunity to answer it. And when I look at that, right, you know, you've defined your robust resume in regards to the things that you've accomplished and all your achievements. But to me, that doesn't mean anything if it doesn't trickle down to benefit the residents, right? You can have the highest and most profound resume that could be ever written on paper, but it doesn't meet the needs of if it doesn't meet the needs of the people, then it's for naught, you know. So does your resume and the things that you talk about meet the needs of your people? I'll give you 2 examples of the things you've done for me personally and then for individuals whom I've serviced. When we do our back to school event that we've been doing with former Councilwoman Vera Ames in the 4th Ward, where we give out school supplies, activities, entertainment, giveaways for kids who don't really get anything, right? And we have over 1,000 people in participation. The moment that not me, but somebody else from the organization reached out to you, you came with 100 book bags, right? 100, and I really didn't know, you or what you were associated with. Unbiasedly, you came with 100 book bags the first time. I remember that. And the other thing that sticks out to me with this robust, profound resume, what is she doing for the people? When the program that I'm employed with right now, the Paterson Healing Collective, in partnership with St. Joseph, saw the need to find housing for victims of violence. We have an individual who is wheelchair bound and is staying in a hotel for over a year now. He was paralyzed, and he got paralyzed because he was sheltering somebody else while they shot up his vehicle, and he had difficulty getting housing. So we reached out to all of our resources and said, who could help us solicit the city to put some program together to find housing for victims of violence? Because we had over 50 individuals at that time in our caseload. And we learned that some of the social determinants towards violence were associated with lack of housing. And this guy couldn't find housing. And we went to the very place that everybody would expect to go to for services and assistance. We went to our city. We went to our legislative body. Yourself stood at the forefront, not only on our Zoom meetings and talked about what you can do, and you stuck with it. You contacted and connected with former Councilman Morris and put together legislation and pushed it and called us and said, come down and look at your other council people and how they rejected it. And I was disgusted. I was disgusted. So you would definitely get my support, not based on your resume, but what you've exemplified by way of your resume. You definitely would. Thank you. And I'm for B, because I'm for the business, I'm for balance, and like you, I'm for the betterment of our city.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, thank you again for that question. I can say truly that Councilwoman Mims, we worked together first as parent liaisons and coordinators together. And she has really shown, and she is taking the words from Mitch, has not changed from day one. As a volunteer and as a councilwoman, same mentality. So I can vouch for you for that. I can also say something that people don't really know about Elisa Mims, that she was a commissioner to the second power. And what that means is she was a commissioner on the planning board and the school district the same time, and she had to run between meetings on the same day. Now that's commendable all the way around the board. So when it comes to support for you, and I remember we had a conversation a while back. It's like, how can we be the third largest city and we don't have a hotel like Newark? We don't have a hotel like Jersey City. And you said, I'm gonna try to make that done, get that done. And I said, I'm with you on that. So whatever you need, that's something I'm really, really upset about, that Paterson doesn't have her own hotel. And I think that you are gonna come up with something. We talked about it. I think we're gonna be good with that. So, and to call Mitch's name again, about the ticket situation. It's disrespectful, Paterson, to have incumbents not together on a ticket. But that, you know why they're not together on a ticket? Because one person or persons on that ticket feel like they can do it without us, without you, the residents. And I am not a racist at all, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. Look at the ticket. If the ticket looks like you, go with it. If you like the ticket, if you like what's been done, go with it. But I wouldn't. I will support you 300%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher, and thank you, Councilwoman Mims. Next to have an opportunity to ask their questions will be Juan Mitch Santiago. Mr. Santiago, the floor is yours.
Well, sitting in this chair makes me feel, I'm gonna do a Ken Morris. Yeah, I'm here. First question would be, do you believe there is 3 seats? Do you believe that I deserve to have one of those seats? My second question is...
Well, let's get through your first question first, Mr. Santiago.
Yeah, I'm
Would you
trying
like-
to get it there so you don't take one away from me, so like you try to do with Lisa Mims. First question is, do you believe I deserve one of those seats, one of the 3?
And who would you like to direct that question towards?
Starting with you then,
Go down the road.
all the way
Okay.
down the board.
Mr. Udin?
Yes, sir. One more time, City of Paterson, this is what I'm saying from the heart and from my colleagues sitting here. I would say if I would have chance to vote 5 votes for council at large, I would vote for all 5, including myself. But I honor that. And this is what beauty that here, we can use this as an example of a council meeting that we are so respectful to each other. We are listening to each other, and we are showing our platform, nothing else. And people decide who 3 they want to see in this term. If we can't make it, one of us, does not mean that we are not going to make it in the future. We can work together still, because the purpose of sitting here today is serving the city of Paterson. And one thing, when I met you first, and I said it, whatever you're doing from your heart. And you deserve that. And I would say everyone sitting here today, if I would have a chance to vote 5 votes, I would vote for all of you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Councilwoman?
So it's been years. Education is my passion. We have 3 generations of doctorates in my family. My mom has a doctorate, I have one, and so does my daughter. So it's just something that's been in our family. It's a part of our legacy. And so I remember years ago, you being on the school board and being very, like a strong advocate for things that pertain to our children, quality education, better schools, and so many things. And for years, I watched you. Then you worked for the city. I watched you again. You didn't know I was watching. You always got to watch who's watching you. And so I watched you come to the council meetings and talk. And then, you know, DPW and I'm very close with all the employees of the city. As many people know, I love our employees. And DPW, there's a different bond because, you know, they're the go-to when you have to get things done in the community for the residents. And so one of the DPW workers, as I call them family, everyone knows that we're family, but one of them, he's like a brother to me. It's almost like my mom birthed him. And when he reached out to me, he said, my brother is working. When I needed an opportunity for another chance, I'm about to cry. When I needed an opportunity for another chance, you gave him that chance. And it's because of you, he has been working in the city. He is a supervisor in the city, and he does a phenomenal job every day. And he said to me, he said, you don't have to worry. He's not going to attack you. He's going to support you. And because you stand for the same thing, and because of your consistent advocacy and your strong warrior spirit for the things that are right pertaining to this city, I will absolutely support you for this seat. Because I'm going to be here, so I need 2 more people to come along. So I would definitely support that. You would have my support.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Melvin?
So I think that's a good question, Brother Mitch. I want to take it back to Eastside High School, right? You know, and then the city of Paterson, Park Avenues, where else your stuff was at on the overpasses, right? You know, I myself too am a fan of art. I have an affinity for art and graphics and stuff like that. And when I was in high school, I always admired Mitch's work, his artistic work. And then for our principal back at that time, Joe Clark, to give you an opportunity to transform your public art into something professional, I think was a blessing. You know, like, I mean, to the jean jackets with the graffiti on it, you know, and the spray painting on the wall coming down the hallway by the office, that big mural there, you know. And if I could have voted for you back then, right, as top artist of the city of Paterson, you would have got that vote. Secondly, you know, your character, right? I think character to me speaks volumes in regards to your approachability, your ability to see through the BS, right? And to call it what it is. I think that's what's missing in government. You know, I kind of joke with Mike Jackson, Councilman Mike Jackson, about this. Like, some situations require the gun and others require the knife, right? I will consider my knife. I'm the knife. You're the gun. Sometimes we need to blast off at certain individuals who are not doing the right thing, whether it be a developer, whether it be one of our colleagues, whether it be the administration, or whether it be somebody in the community, but in a loving and respectful way. And then sometimes we got to cut through some of the BS, you know, under the same situation. So I would definitely give you my support. You know, as Dr. Mims said, we can vote for more than one person, so I definitely will give you my support. I can see us working together based on the environments that you're in. I saw you speak at Great Falls Academy, the alternative school, which is I'm passionate about the entire staff. I've been working with them, and I saw you speak there to the students who kind of, you know, fell at the bottom of the academic ladder. You went there and you inspired them, and that meant a lot to me. You know, as well as, you know, just a no-nonsense approach, you know. So, and we need that. We need that in government. We need that in government. So you would definitely get my support, brother. 4B, Melvin and Mitch, Eminem, I think that has a ring to it. And triple N, right? Triple N. Melvin, Mims, and Mitch. And Udin and Fisher, right? Like you said, let's go all five. And then the last thing is, look how well we work together, City of Paterson. Don't you want to see this for the next 4 years? You got a great choice in front of you. Brother Mitch, Mr. Udin, Dr. Mims, myself, and Fisher. A perfect combination. You can't lose either way. So 4B for the ballot. Yes, sir. You got my support.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. First of all, ooh, you stole my thunder, but that was good. That was good. I'll show you I wrote that down.
Okay.
That's good. So good minds think alike,
Yes, sir.
as he just said. You can't go wrong, but you got to go out to vote. That's the key thing. You have to go out to vote on May 10th, and I'm 5B, you know that. I wrote some stuff here down because I didn't know what to say about you because, I know you forever. But I just want to write some. Last night, last night's council meeting, I had the pleasure of having the Paterson Charter basketball team here who made history this year. And they were sitting in the crowd, and one of my youngest pride and joy plays on that team. And he came home and he said, "You want to do that?" They tell us that we act like children. He said they were arguing back and forth, and two people just talking while somebody else was talking. If a child can come home and say, "Hey, Dad, I don't want you to do that," I said, "Hey, it's not going to be that way, and it's not going to be that way with people like you, Mitch." And it's something like you said, Casey Melvin said about the knife, and you got the gun. Well, if Dyfus is watching, I got the belt because you didn't get beat outside. You got beat in the house. And that's what we have to do. If we have a disagreement, we take it backstage. We don't go in front of the crowd and air our grievances out. That's not professional. You've never seen me in public berate somebody or a parent or administrator. No, I might not have agreed with any of them, but I took them back and we had a conversation about it. And no one saw it. So I'm supporting you because I need you to be that gun. I got the belt, you got the knife. We're going to make it all happen up here. And one more last thing I wrote down is about the peacemaker, right? The peacemaker right here. And the watchman down there, Udin is the watchman. So, but about about Mitch, I know I got 1 minute, right? You can walk anywhere in this town. He can walk anywhere in this town and have not a problem because he's from here like my colleagues, and everybody knows who we are. We are Paterson. I'm 5B on the ballot, prepared, passionate, and Paterson. Let's go get him.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Santiago, you do have an opportunity to ask another series of questions of the candidates.
So I did good. I didn't lose that, right?
You're doing well, sir. You're
I
doing
got
well.
you, bro. The next question is, it's actually hurting the city. And if it could happen to these individuals, it could happen to any of us. The situation with the De Jesus family, how would you handle something like that? What place would you take to handle something like that? And we'll start from somebody that I know that I admire and expertise. I'm going to start with Councilwoman Mims.
Councilwoman?
So I think that's a great question. Paterson, no family deserves to be in a situation where 92 days, I believe it is at this point, that they don't know where their loved one is. They have tirelessly come to the council meetings every single week, begging, pleading for answers. I saw them, and I said it last night in the council meeting, to see me watch, because I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I'm an aunt, I'm a sister, and for me to see this family take it upon themselves to go in the river with the boat. I don't know whose boat it was, but they were in their own boat, and they were dragging the river trying to find their loved one. And as they were I'm watching on Facebook Live, so it wasn't like it was pre-recorded or it was staged, it was live. And I was crying for them. And when they came to the council meeting, the first thing I did, number one, was I gave them sympathy. Because I personally could never imagine what they're going through, not knowing where their loved one is for all these days and they have no answers. Secondly, what I did was I asked my secretary to take the flyer, because they had a flyer. I spoke to them as well. I'll talk to them as well. But I asked my secretary, could you take the flyer and make copies? I took my team in the community and I walked the neighborhoods asking the community, if you've seen something, say something, please reach out to the family. And I reached out to one of the brothers and I spoke to him, and on the phone I said a prayer for him. These situations, they go to the prosecutor's office and they have to go through the steps and the process. But for me, I'm human. And I can only sympathize with this family, give out resources of what may be the need, and I offer it to them all the time. Let me know, I'll come out with you, I'll stand with you, I'll be there with you, but whatever I can do on this side as a legislative body, I am open to do that, because we can no longer be in situations where family members are begging and pleading for answers and they have nothing. It's like Silence of the Lambs. The De Jesus family, there's many other families that have endured this type of these situations, and some of them are cold cases, some of them cases are closed, and still no response. This family deserves a response. They deserve advocates, and I give credit to people like Commissioner Corey Teague and others who are on the front line with them, but I stand with them as well. I am Mims, I'm 10B on the ballot, a woman who cares because she cares first. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Would you like to go, Mr. Udin?
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. The last council meeting that I attended was here to support the DeHasas family, and Commissioner Corey Teague was talking on the family's behalf, and I commend him for doing that, and every day I see him speaking on the family's behalf. After the incident happened, and it was the time then when I am every day out knocking doors, and when the news came, my family's concerned, especially my mom and wife, that it could happen to you. You're walking on city street, how safe are you? And I was feeling exactly the same thing. What happened to DeHasas, it could happen to me. It could happen to any of us. If we ignore this case, just know that one day we have to lose our loved ones. We cannot just ignore this case as this is a different family. We have to take it very seriously. We have to feel this way that DeHasas is one of us. If DeHasas family was going through, they know. But think that if you lose your son, how would you feel? That's all I can tell you. I was here. I saw Commissioner Teague was talking to the council. The response came back. I was not satisfied. I think none of our residents were satisfied with the response. And here, one thing I can tell you, I never been at the council. I'm running for the council. People, I'm here to serve you. And this is why, when it came to campaign, and first thing I made sure that I am not aligned with any interest group. Because I refuse to collect getting donations from any interest group or developers, to make sure that I can prioritize people. And that should be the option. It's not important how smart the council member is. It's important who are you using your smartness for. Are you using your smartness for the people of the Paterson, people of the city, or you're using your smartness for special group? And Mitch, this is an emotional topic. I am one thing I should say, that I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, and I spend my whole day with our children in the classroom. And our children are going through a lot. Our families are going through a lot. Seeing all these things made me to run for the council. And I'm here sending my deepest sympathy to DS's family and people in the city. Please let us work together to bring a positive change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Mr. Fisher or Mr. Melvin? Either one, sir. Mr. Melvin?
Yes, okay. So, Brother Mitch, I definitely have sympathy and empathize for the family, the De Jesus family. When I hear their story, I had a similar story. I had a brother who was experiencing heavy substance abuse, and he was homeless from place to place. Not to say that that's the situation, but he was missing for 3 weeks. And had it not been for the alert of the community members whom saw him frequently, I would have never known. My first thought was, he was incarcerated. But once that was deduced, I found out that he was picked up off the street, 12th Avenue, as a result of heavy breathing, and I called the hospital, right? I called the hospital, and I knew someone who worked at the hospital, right? And they looked him up, and he wasn't there. Then I called again a week later and looked him up under a John Doe. I gave an alias, and he was there under an alias, and I found out that he passed away from COVID. And then after he passed away from COVID, he was in the morgue for 2 weeks. So it's been 3 weeks he was missing. So as a result of an investigation, asking the right questions, unturning every stone, I learned that, he passed away, right? And it was traumatic, and I was reminded of that when I listened to the De Jesus story. So what I did initially was I talked to one of the family members on the side, and I gave them those suggestions. I said, did you check the jails? Did you check the hospital first? And did you check under John Doe's and aliases? And they said they'd done all of that. As a legislator, and I think every legislator should be reminded of this, that we take an oath to uphold the Constitution, right? We swear that uphold the Constitution, and within the Constitution, it talks about the preservation and the enjoyment of life, liberty, and safety. So there's our obligation as elected officials to provide some level of safety, some closure for the family members who have lost their family member, especially when the last point of contact was law enforcement. So I would suggest, I would have discussions with the administration to have an all hands on deck approach, whether it be a search party, hire a private investigator, search medical records, check chronologically from the time that he was missing to the present day to find out if he's in the hospital, he's in the morgue, under what names, check medical records, the whole gamut. I would exhaust every last resource as an elected official to find out and bring some closure for the De Jesus family, and then entertain them in their needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on, it's emotional, it's really emotional. Every family suffers through some kind of mental health problem with either the grandmother or your brother or your cousin or nephew. I myself going through that recently. So when I was here at the council meeting and I saw the family outside with Commissioner Corey T, and I was on Facebook Live talking about going to the council meeting, and I just walked up on them. I didn't want to get in and use that as something for me to run for election, so I just followed everybody upstairs and put the camera on up here, because I want anybody to say that I use that as a platform. Someone's missing family member. I don't know. It's just a disrespect, I thought, when I came in here and I heard a council member say, Mitch, my hands are tied. My hands are tied. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is somebody's family member missing. And then another person called him homeless. He wasn't homeless. He had a family. So I think that we should, in this situation, have a special meeting without all these cameras with the city council, with the administration, as you said, Casey, as well as law enforcement and the family. Let's air everything out. We don't have to go to these meetings and be in front of the camera, these 15 minutes of fame and stuff like that. We don't need all that. We need to sit down and talk about it. There's time, like you said, it's a timeline. Time is of the essence. Everybody watched the first 48. It's a reason they call it the first 48, because you can catch somebody quicker. It's been, how many, 92 days? And no answers at all? And they talk about Haledon police, Paterson police. You hear all these. We have to get together. If this ever happens again, we need to have a committee set up on the council to make sure that answers from the family are done. I just want to say, being this month Autism Month as well, Paterson, make sure that you don't take for granted people and don't assume people. I was just up there with Lisa Mims at the Autism of McBride Ave at the firehouse, and let me tell you, those kids were so happy, and they have autism adults that people don't even know about, and they were happy. And I want to say to Paterson, Mitch, I know you wear your heart on your sleeve, and so do I. So I have to stop now, but 5B, Mark Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you, Mr. Santiago. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Udin will have an opportunity to ask his series of questions to the candidates.
One
Mrs.
more
Udin?
time, thank you, today's moderator, Councilman Ken Morris, for this opportunity. I'm addressing this question to all of my colleagues sitting here today, and you can answer in any order that our moderator wants. As a teacher at Paterson Public Schools and a founder of a community sports league and a community volunteer, I have seen firsthand the necessity of year-round recreational opportunities that we talked about. My question to you today is, if elected, what shared service will you create to decrease crime and increase the graduation rate among our youth by providing recreational opportunities?
And you would like to direct that question to whom?
It's on you, sir. You decide who should answer the question first.
Would you like each of the candidates to respond?
Sir, it's on you again.
I'm sorry?
It's on you. You decide who should answer first.
I would love to do that if I was running, but I'm not running. So that decision is yours, sir.
Let's start from Mark Fisher, and I'll go with the second question from Mitch. Or you have to give everyone an opportunity to talk first. Thank you.
The gist of your question is what? Just recreation?
Decrease.
Shared services?
Shared services, decrease crime, increase graduation rate, providing recreational opportunities and youth programs.
Okay. All right. You said a lot. That's why I was making sure. First of all, let's talk about the crime decrease. I was walking downtown the other day, and there was a garbage can on fire across the street. And I noticed that there were no cameras anywhere around. And I couldn't believe that downtown area, we don't have multiple cameras in multiple areas. I know we have them on some of the lights and some of the businesses, but I think a technology boost is what we need for crime, number one. Also, as far as recreation goes, you know my platform on that. I am a coach, been a coach, still a coach, and I think that recreation is not just little children. Recreation is also 18 to 45. And what I mean by that is I'm the general manager of the Silk City Sharks adult football team. I take men, not little boys, men off the street and live their childhood fantasy out of playing in the NFL, playing for the Sharks. And let me tell you, that's changed a lot of lives. We've gotten them jobs, and that takes part of the crime as well. So that's twofold. So I just want to say to the Paterson residents, when you're out there and you see something, you have to say something. I don't have all the ideas. I don't. I'm going to ask you for all the ideas as well as my colleagues here, because I know I'm going to be sitting up here with them. And I know we're going to make this happen. Thank you.
Mr. Kevin, Melvin.
Yes, thank you for that question. Brother Udin, that's a very important question. If I had to rephrase that, or if I put it in a context that I'm familiar with, it sounds like you're talking about how do we address the school-to-prison pipeline, because that is very, very relevant, right? It exists. The school-to-prison pipeline, in so many words, talks about how test scores, a person's test scores, academic performance will determine whether they're going to be in prison or not based on their academic performance. So, and I've been looking at that, not only myself, but the individuals, community organizations that I've been working with have been working tirelessly to address that. I'll start from the present right now in 2022, because that's what's relevant right now, right, today. Without a position, without running for office, I've invested a large percentage of my life dealing with that at-risk population. Ms. Cotton, Councilwoman Cotton, talks about how she met me in the 90s advocating for education at Eastside High School, right? Our students have a lot of issues at home. The family structure is torn, right? And a torn family structure leads to a low-performing student. And a low-performing student eventually is a prey for crime. So what I'm suggesting is what we're doing right now. The past week, we've had what we call a healing space. The Paterson Healing Collective has provided a joint venture with the school district, our superintendent, the Department of Recreation, Bemji Wimberley, and we provided a holistic healing space after-school program that deals with services that improve graduation rates by providing tutoring, assisting them with their homework, assignments, activities, fun and games, and basketball. And we provide social services for family members who maybe need some identification, assistance with paying bills, and then it's hosted and facilitated by people that they can identify with. I think those are some of the key approaches, and it's right at School 28 in the 1st Ward, and our second program is going to be launched in the 4th Ward, in areas that are more likely to produce an individual who may be caught up in the prison, in the web of prison, in that pipeline. So, and if we don't do that, I think that the results of our community would be disastrous. So that would be one of my suggestions. What I'm doing right now, and not even a candidate running, and I've been doing that for over 25 years with addressing the school-to-prison pipeline by providing academic opportunities for not only young people in school, but for the whole family, because I believe that they all are interdependent, they play a role and lean on each other. That's my proposal. 4B for the ballot, because I'm for the business.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. I'm proceeding to Councilwoman Mims.
So this is a great question. What's really sad about the question is, number one, have we done some things? Absolutely. Can we do more? The question is yes. But what's sad is we're sitting on the afternoon of the day after another victim in Paterson was shot and killed. A young person. I am one of the council members, along with Councilwoman Cotton, who we're together all the time. They call us Oprah and Gail. When these incidents are going on, we're at the crime scenes. We're at the hospitals. As a pastor, I eulogize a lot of these funerals. And to get the calls from the mothers and the grandmothers of these victims, it's heartbreaking. One of the things, and I'm going to go back to one of the very first questions, is a lot of times we talk about recreation, we talk about shared service, we talk about how do we reduce crime, but we never go to the people in the community, which is a part of the 1% of the perpetrated base, the perpetrators that perpetrate the crimes. We never go and talk and say, what recreational opportunities do you need? Do we need to do shared service? Absolutely. We need to share service and make sure that those things that were removed out of the budget are placed back. For example, we used to have something called night gym, where when I was on the school board, we had 21 evening centers. That has been drastically reduced. We know the pandemic has played a role, but I think more money needs to be allocated to ensure that we have more programs in place to make sure that we can save our youth. Not just the youth that are in the school, but in that bracket of that 16 to 29-year-old or 25-year-old that we see being reported of victims that are being shot and killed. Also, I think we need to be able to have roundtables and pilot programs to identify programs such as Lieutenant Sharon Eason did so well. She found grants for the last 3 years. She wrote the grant, and we approved it as city council members to make sure that there were programs in place to make sure kids had Chromebooks, and they went out to shows, and they had wonderful meals with steak and lobster. I was really excited because our kids don't get that. But I think we also, as parents, you need to go into those rooms, and if there are no sneakers in those boxes, you need to identify what's happening with your children. Flip over those mattresses. Ask the questions. If you know you did not pay for those $500 sneakers or that jacket or whatever, you have to go back to parenting and ask the questions, because your parenting will save your kid's life. My name is Mims. I'm 10B on the ballot. You know why I can say it? Because I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 4, and I'm a grandmother of 2. My heart goes out every time I get my Ring doorbell request or I get a notification that someone else has been affected through the violence and senseless shootings and killings in the great city of Paterson. I'm Mims. I'm 10B on the ballot.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Santiago.
Let's be realistic, City of Paterson. We're losing a lot of our police officers. They go to the police academy, to our police academy. They graduate. After they complete their probation time, they go to other towns. They get hired somewhere else. That's number one. The recreational is good and dandy, which will be great to keep the children off the street. But to reduce the crime, you need more cops, more officers on the beat. I looked at Newark many years ago, and their city was a mess. They made a huge turnaround by hiring a lot of officers, even police officers on horseback, right on downtown. We don't have that in the city of Paterson. It'll be great, not only that for the children, because they love horses, so they'll be able to go next to the police officer. But what gets me is, I understand that we need more cameras here, cameras there. And they stated one time, the mayor goes, well, you know, we're going to put some cameras in a hot spot Well, that's good. I'm happy for you, Mayor. But who's watching them? Ain't nobody watching the cameras. If he's got these bodyguards with him, walking around the city of Paterson, he could use those bodyguards that are police officers to actually sit in the room and watch the cameras. You're taking away from us, the taxpayers. Pat Kramer. May you rest in peace, Frank X. Graves, Bill Pasquale. You never saw them walking around the city of Paterson with bodyguards? Am I for real? Absolutely. So therefore, listen, we need a lot of help. I'm not going to sugarcoat things and lie and say, yes, we're going to. Listen, it's like Councilwoman Mims said, we have to come on a table, we have to work together, we have to put resources, and we have to make things work collectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Mr. Udin, you have an opportunity to ask another series of questions at the end.
One more time, thank you everyone for answering my question. My second question, and let me rephrase some of the sentences we all used, which is Paterson is historically built on diversity. However, in the past couple of years, we have experienced that the special interest prioritized over residents. When, throughout the difficult time when our residents unite for our progress, unfortunately, our city council was the exact opposite. And I have said that. They fight on every single issue, toxic, and every Tuesday is a circus. If elected, what will you do differently to prioritize people and work together with your council colleagues? I'll start from Mr. Mitch Santiago.
Thank you. Because that was one thing I was going to do on my closing remarks. First of all, we have to run first, get elected, get sworn in, for the people, by the people. Of course, they put you in here, they could also get you out of here. We're supposed to provide a service. We're supposed to work for the people. We're supposed to listen to them. But you have council people that'll sit up here eating McDonald's, Burger King, sauce coming down their mouth, right, cleaning up their tires with the ketchup and stuff, right? And then you got some of them, they're on the phone board while people out there sitting, citizens out there sitting, asking questions, or Ernest Rucker sitting up there asking questions, or the Jesus family asking questions. Then you got some of them on their cell phone like this, scratching their hair, their bald heads, looking all ugly with the same suit, right? With their phones on, not listening to nobody, or talking among themselves. You know, what are you doing tonight? We can't do that. Put your phone down, put it on vibrate, leave it alone. Listen to what the public has to say. Take your notes. And you know what you got to do? You could either answer them there, or if you need to do something to provide the service, you log it down, ask for their number, and get the job done. That question is well asked. Thank you. But for me, I'm here to work for the public. I'm here to get the job done. Running for a large 2B. And I'm going to let the public know this. I'm no nonsense. I'm not here to really make friends. I'm here to get the job done, collectively, like a family. But I will put a council person on the spot if they're not doing their job. Because if you're not doing your job, then you don't need to be here. Let somebody else do it, somebody that'll have the passion to work for the city of Paterson, to work for our taxpayers, to work for our citizens, our seniors, and our children. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. I'm going to refer to Dr. Mims.
So I think it's a great question. One of the things I do is something called the temperature check with the community. And I always ask the community, what are your thoughts on the city council meetings? And this is the response. They are horrendous. Some people say, I don't watch them because of the fighting. You can't really get anything done. We don't understand what's happening. And I said it earlier, they always say to myself and Councilwoman Cotton, thank you for being so professional. Now, there are times in the council meetings when sometimes you have to address and you have to, your voice fluctuates because you have to be stern because you're fighting for the community. But does it require the infighting and the open display in front of the community? Absolutely not. Paterson does not elect us, and they're not paying us to fight. My family, I'm a mom, so when we come into the meetings, we are here sometimes till 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, and my kids are home, and my youngest is 19. But when I get home and they have watched the meetings, they're almost scared when I'm walking out the building because they don't know what's going to happen to me if I'm going to make it home safe because of some of the stuff that's going on in the chambers. Mark spoke about it earlier. Last night when the championship scholar basketball team was here, I apologized to the team that they were invited to come last night to hear and to witness some of the things that went on. And they, on the sidelines, they said to me, Dr. Mims, I can't believe that you're sitting there. Why do you want to be there? What is going on? I said, because someone has to be the voice for the people and the community, and they have to present professionalism. As you see in this debate, we're very professional. There's no infighting. No one's calling people out of their names. Everyone is in a peaceful demeanor because it's not about us. We are elected. We are placed in these seats at the table to be voices of reason and to be an advocate for the community that sometimes in situations they can't advocate for themselves. Paterson, let's keep Mims at the seat at the table, because when you watch the meetings, you don't see me in the midst of the fight. Sometimes when it gets too much, I'm running to the bathroom. Sometimes my bathroom breaks are just for a peace of mind. Make sure you keep Mims at the table. We need someone here that will keep peace, does the work, and always is about what's best for the residents and the city of Paterson first. My name is Mims. I'm 10B on the ballot. Let's remain in a place of peace and not chaos. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Melvin.
Yes, great question, Commissioner Udin, regarding working together. And you said something. I think you coined the phrase, right? The council meetings is Toxic Tuesday. Did you hear that? Did you know what you said? You said Toxic Tuesday. Okay, Toxic Tuesday is coming. I mean, based on what you said, Brother Udin, the last council election, 14 people ran. This election, 10 people are running. Even more wants to run because they see Toxic Tuesday. They see the lack of decorum, right? The lack of professionalism, infighting, the back and forth. And our council meetings are seen across the world. Right, that's the presentation of government to everybody else outside of Paterson. So I think it's important that we establish some level of decorum. When I talk about my ballot number 4B, I'm for the business and not for the bull. We've been seeing the bull for quite some time. We've been seeing the baloney for quite some time. We see a lot of personal stuff, a lot of vanity, a lot of tit for tat, everybody fighting for a position, council people wanting to be mayor and council president. We're going to experience that after this election. You know that the next fight is going to be for council president. And it's going to be right back to the basics again. Everything else that we've been talking about as candidates is going to be out the window. Now it's going to be a whole other fight on who's going to be council president. I tell you, KC Melvin, 4B, is not concerned with positioning. The position that I want is the position I'm running for, and that you people, the public, gives me, is to be a legislator. I don't want to be the mayor. I don't want to be heard. I don't want to be the prettiest, the smartest, the loudest, the one who speaks the most, right? I'm not there for that, because that's not the business. That's the bull, and that's what we've been getting. So in my record, my past record speaks for that. Nobody who knows me for over 25 years knows me to be out of line or disrespectful. I've learned from my elders how to be respectful and settle disputes respectively, and I'm going to exemplify that in the council. Working together, I think we're doing a good job right now, and I think if we carry that over, if the viewers see this, they analyze us, they study us, they do their research after we leave, I think that once May 10th comes, the decision will be made on who can detoxify Tuesdays moving forward. 4B for the ballot, because I'm for the business. Casey Melvin.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, thank you. Again, that's a great question. Casey, I love you, bro. You keep stealing my thunder, but I love you. Toxic Tuesdays, I had that written down too. All right, good minds think alike, Paterson. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Good minds think alike. An elected official who sat on this council, no longer is here, he's on another legislation, told me, I said, what's the problem with the city council? And he coined the phrase for me. He said, and Councilman Morris, you can attest to this, everybody on the third floor is trying to get to the second floor. Everybody on the third floor, listen to me, is trying to get to the second floor. We're up here trying to legislate for you. I know right now I'm not trying to get to no second floor. I'm trying to get to the third floor. I got to be at the table, so I need a menu to find out what we're doing for Paterson. Do I have all the answers? I told you before, no. But I'm going to get the expertise to find out what we need to do. And the last thing is, like Casey was talking about his B's. Well, I got my P's. And my P's are that I'm prepared for this job. I've been ready for this job to be here for you. I'm here to serve you. Whatever questions you have for me, I'm ready to answer them. I'm passionate, and you know my passion comes from coaching. And I'm Paterson. I'm really Paterson. Born and raised here, so I know how to be a team player. And Commissioner Udin, we serve on the planning board together as well as Kennedy High School. You know we work together. Teamwork. Everybody up here, teamwork. So make your choices, people. Any of the 5. I wish I could have 5 votes too. I'm Mark Fisher, 5B on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher, and thank you, Mr. Udin.
Thank you, Councilman Ken Morris, and thank you, my running mates, for answering the question. And one thing I need to commend that if the purpose is serving the people, we can fight. We can present our own platform, and we can come up with the best solution, best plan for our city. And I always use the example of our professional development.
Mr. Udin?
My time is up, sir. I know.
You can share that during your closing.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering the question. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Udin, I don't know if that was strategic or not, in so much that you will be the first to provide your closing remarks.
Thank you to our moderator, a great leader, Ken Morris, for hosting this forum and being our moderator. And as I was saying that, as a point of view as an educator last 10 years in Paterson Public Schools, that our purpose is to teach the best way possible to our children, to our students. And when we want that, we host professional development. We come up with the strategies that best fit for our classroom, that best fit for our children, and that works. And why not us the council members, can come up with our own plan and together come up with the best plan instead of fighting against each other. And it happens. When you fight, it happens when you are greed for your seat or you are not serving the people, you are serving special interest. Paterson, this election is not about you, it's not about me, it's about us. Together, we can bring a positive change. This election is not about Democrat or Republican. It's about the people of the city of Paterson. You cannot leave one part of Paterson behind and one part move forward. That's not forward. To move the city forward, we all have to move forward together. And that's why we need the plan to move everyone forward together. Paterson, one more time I need to rephrase that. I refuse to take donations from the developers and interest group only because I want to prioritize you. You are my number one priority at the city council. I'm number one at the ballot, 1B, and I promise to be number one while I'll be at the city council. So please vote 1B, your voice to represent your interest on May 10th. Thank you so very much to our city clerk, Sonia Gordon, and our councilman, Ken Morris, and all the individuals sitting right here, and wonderful ladies right here for this wonderful forum and hosting and giving us opportunities to reach out to our residents, our citizens, to let our messages to know. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Mr. Udin. Mr. Santiago, for your closing remarks.
Mr. Morris, I wish I could see you again. Paterson, you have a lot of choices. You have a lot of good choices. I'm 2B. I play no nonsense. I didn't take a dime from nobody. None of the investors, I don't owe them anything. I don't want to owe them anything. I want to commend the ladies in the city clerk's office for doing a fantastic job for many years. Sonia, you are the best. You have never chosen sizes. You have always kept yourself neutral and done your job to the fullest, along with the ladies in that office, which I have known. The ones that are running towards my right and my left, my colleagues, listen, I wish you the best success, Godspeed. Whichever one of us makes it, we got to get ready to do what's right, fight the fight. We need prayers in the city council. We have a lot of demons inside some of them chairs. Some of these people should not be sitting here. They're out there for themselves. Listen, I'm not a politician. I'm just a natural person that want to do the right thing. I don't want to be mayor. I don't want to be congressman, senator. I don't want none of that. I just want to help the people, help the community. Once we get in these seats at large, we have to sit as a team because the next race is going to be the different ward streets. And we got a different ward seats. And we got to get them out too. Because guess what? We're going to clean house. They all got to go. They haven't done nothing. All they do is come up here, argue, eat. Time is up. God bless. Good evening. 2B. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Councilwoman Larissa Mims.
So I want to thank Madam Clerk, Deputy Clerk, Paola, our amazing moderator, and to the gentleman with the woman in the middle for being so gentlemanlike at this great forum. Paterson, I never ran to be popular when I ran for office. I never ran for office to be famous. I never ran for office to be rich. I ran for office This is my third election. I ran for office to serve the great city that I was born and raised in, grew up in the 4th Ward. I've lived in the 1st Ward. I currently live in the 3rd Ward. I've lived in the 2nd Ward. My church is in the 5th Ward, and I eat in the 6th. And I ran so that I can serve the people of our great city because they deserved a better Paterson. I ran because as a mom of 4, a grandmother of 2, I knew that our children deserved a better quality of education. They deserved a thorough and efficient education. I ran to be a voice for the people and a barometer of change. There's a difference between a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer is used just to check the temperature. That's its sole purpose. I'm going to check if you're at the 98.6. I'm going to check if you're hot or cold, if you're too high, you got a fever, etc. But a thermostat is utilized because if the temperature is too hot, you can make adjustments. If it's too cold, you can make adjustments. And so when you come into these offices, as I've been elected a few times to do, I have been a thermostat for change. When it came in, I did not take it as status quo to say nothing can be done. My track record shows that by turning on over 1,500 lights and all of the 4 bridges in the city that were out for a minimum of 10 years to 15 years. Renovations of Putnam Oval, renovation of Bear Track Park, renaming of Vera Ames Community Park, standing on the shoulders of people like Councilwoman Ames, Councilwoman Dixon, and Maria Magda. In this capacity, I have served, I've answered your calls, I've advocated, and I've stood true to the test of time, and my work speaks for itself. What is so awesome about this time of running in this election, there are 10 candidates. And as you have heard, 7 out of 10 believe I should stay here. They all can't be wrong. Majority rules based on Robert Rules of Orders. Paterson, let's follow the pattern. Let's follow what's right for our community. Let's keep Mims at the seat at the table. A win for Mims is a win for the community. Mi Victoria, es la Victoria de Paterson. Mims, I'm 10B on the ballot. Vote for Mims 10B. Vote part of Mims, Diaz Bay. God bless you, and God bless the great city that I love so much. Have a great day. Don't forget to vote 10B on the ballot. Have an amazing time.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Melvin.
Yes, I want to first start off by thanking the City Council, the moderator, Ms. Gordon, Madam Clerk, and the staff for putting together this fantastic forum to allow the residents, the City of Paterson residents, all 86,000 of you plus, to hear the upcoming body of legislators that you're soon to elect. I do want you to pay close attention to the importance of what's going to happen in the next 6 days, and I can't stress it enough. Paterson's city government will change dramatically within the next 6 days. It is vital that everyone come out and vote and express your feelings about who you want in office. Please vote intelligently. Please do research. Google, fact check, ask questions, not just questions about two people in the neighborhood, but people who live outside the neighborhood, people who are not friends with the people who are running, and get the information on who you're voting for. 10 people are running, 14 people in the previous election, because we are tired of the way government is going right now. Myself, Casey Melvin, 4B on the ballot. I have over 25 years of community service, dealing with our young folk, dealing with our middle-aged folk, and dealing with our older folk in the city of Paterson, dealing with all ethnicities when I was volunteering at the school district. Violence is very, very vital and near and dear to me. Home ownership is near and dear to me. If you Google and you do research, I advocated for home ownership for the residents of the city of Paterson. I've successfully brokered peace agreements in 2015 where there was no violence for the whole summer. And this came after we lost a 16-year-old, Amani Sexton. I have individuals who I have great relationships with, members of the community, in education, as well as government that I've already been working with prior to me running now. If I'm elected, I will guarantee you that there will be no toxicity coming from my end. There'll be no bickering, no arguing, no lack of decorum coming from me. And my final commitment in closing is that if I can't do what I set out to do, if I make Paterson look bad, I will not run for re-election. I will do and try something else because I'm not here to be a career politician. I'm here to get the job done because I'm for the business. KC Melvin, 4B, 25 years of experience because I'm for the business and not for the bull. Please come out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. As they said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I guess I'm last. So I just like to say, like I started off before, residents, thank God for being here, and I'd like to thank the committee putting this together. Kim Morris, great job. And you know, for years, the clerk's office under the leadership of Miss Warren, I loved her. You guys did a great job. So, Paterson residents, a couple people told me, said, well, Mark, you haven't been at council meetings. How do you know what's going on? Again, who wants to sit in Toxic Tuesdays? Nobody wants to sit there. You want to be able to watch it at home and turn it off and turn it on as you go. That's number one. Number two is, I'm in the Screen Actors Guild, so I don't need to be on camera. I know what camera means. I was outside shaking hands and meeting people. I was campaigning. That's why I wasn't here at these meetings. I don't need to see that. Just like my son the other night said he didn't need to see that. He's like, why you want to do that? I want to make Paterson better. I don't want the children of Paterson. I want to have the children of Paterson come here for a field trip at a council meeting and be in awe of this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. If you look at the council meeting now, you wouldn't want your worst enemy here watching that. So I'm telling you right now, I need you to try to consider me. Just consider me as one of your choices. You have three. You have three choices to make to change Paterson. It starts in 6 days, people. 6 days. Get on the phone. I like to call something called 10-10 wins, like the radio show on the radio. Call 10 people and have them call 10 people, and that's how you change stuff individually. Signs don't vote, so you could keep tearing my signs down all you want and my banners. They don't vote. You vote. You matter. And when I'm in the seat, you're in that seat. It's simple and plain. I'm one of the first candidates. Kim Marshall, you probably come and chime in on this. I'm one of the first candidates to put my phone number on my sign 8 years ago when I ran for the 4th Ward, because I want to hear from you. This is what I want to do. And in closing, I just like to say to my Latino brothers and sisters, Cinco Bay on election day. And I'm 5B on the ballot, and make sure you can Google me, just like they said. I have testimonies, Fisher for Paterson Testimonies on YouTube. Fisher for Paterson Testimonies. And those are people, real people, not actors. 5B, Mark Fisher. Consider me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your professionalism this afternoon and your willingness to step up to the plate to represent the constituencies of this great city of Paterson. I wish you luck on May 10th. And as a reminder, there will be early voting on May 10th, again at the Paterson Fire Department, 300 McBride Avenue, as well as the Islamic Center of Passaic County on 152 Durham Avenue. That early voting will start on Friday, May 6th, and end on Sunday, May 8th. Also, soon to be published in the local newspapers will be a list of all the polling sites. It will be broken down by both ward and your districts. It should also appear on the front page of your ballots. And if you still need that information, you can call the city clerk's office at 973-321-1310. Again, that's 973-321-1310. 1310, and I am confident that the various individuals who are running for both the mayor's office and the council at large office will make that information available to you as well. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, exercise your right to vote. If you see what's happening on the national level, whether you agree or disagree with what's going on, but you will notice elections have consequences. Yes. And this election can also have consequences. Thank you again for joining us. I would also like to thank Mr. Ming, who our able-bodied technician and video person up there, and cameraman and producer and anything else you could think of, along with Miss Nancy Greer, the cable coordinator. They do a phenomenal job each and every week with regard to the overall council. And if you are privileged to join the council, make sure Mr. Ming and Nancy are your friends, because they can make you look good or bad on camera. Again, thank you again for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our forum.
Thank you.